Excellent. Okay, Cordelia, go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
All right. Welcome, everybody, and good morning. My name is Cordelia Sidijaya. I am the founder of Core Coaching. I am a holistic gut health specialist, a longevity practitioner, registered nurse, and a holistic health and mindset coach. So I help men and women who are tired of Band-Aid solutions uncover the root cause of their chronic symptoms, especially when stress and inflammation are driving the problem. And what I've learned both clinically and personally is that stress doesn't stay in your head, it moves into your body. Um, and so stress doesn't stay in your head. It definitely moves in your body. And if it stays there long enough, it will eventually turn into disease. And I know that firsthand because years ago, I ignored my own stress. And so when I was taking my prerequisites for nursing school, I was enrolled in 20 units and I was trying to keep up the with school and with work and trying to stay on top of my studies and my relationships and whatever kind of joy and fun that I could be doing at the time. And unfortunately, that chronic stress led to me having Graves' disease, and I ended up being hospitalized with a thyroid storm, which is a life-threatening emergency. And that was the moment that I realized that stress is not just emotional, it's biological. And I ended up actually having to get on blood pressure meds and thyroid medications and be closely monitored by a endocrinologist every 2 months for a period of a few years. And and the science behind what stress does is what I'd love to walk you all through today. So before we get started, I just love anyone who has their camera on, show of hands, how many of you guys have felt really stressed, either at one point in their life or even recently? Yeah. And I would imagine that everyone here would raise their hand because if not, I want to have a one-on-one with you and figure out what your secret is. Um, According to the American Psychological Association, 75% of Americans report experiencing stress, and 7 out of 10 adults report having physical symptoms caused by stress. Um, so um, We've unfortunately have normalized a state that's biologically not sustainable for our bodies. And today I'm going to show you how stress creates inflammation and what you can actually do about it. So, again, stress doesn't just stay in your head. It triggers that physical cascade that can compromise almost every body system in your body. And when you're stressed, your brain's hypothalamus activates an alarm system, signaling your adrenal glands to flood your bloodstream with hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And here's how that process can eventually make you sick. So, number one, that constant chronic stress will shut down your defense system and cause immune suppression. And that cortisol is intended to be anti-inflammatory. It's intended to be there in short bursts, but then that chronic stress exposure is actually what will eventually decrease your white blood cell counts that you need to fight infections, making you significantly more likely to catch viruses and common colds, and just be more reactive to things. Chronic stress can also rewire your digestion. We have the gut-brain axis, which some of you guys have heard of. I'm not going to bring that whole talk in today, but just so you know, stress stress signals will travel along that vagus nerve down to your gut and will disrupt that natural rhythm. So that's also why that chronic stress could be the reason why you might have some nausea or bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. And that long-term chronic stress is a major factor in the persistence of what we call irritable bowel syndrome. It can lead to acid reflux and stomach ulcers. Chronic stress can also strain your heart and your blood, and that inflammation, that persistent stress will lead to that chronic inflammation, which can then damage your arteries and cause that plaque buildup. So it can increase, chronic stress can just increase your risk for cardiovascular disease because constant high levels of adrenaline and cortisol is what keep that blood pressure and your heart rate elevated, increasing your risk of high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, having a heart attack or stroke. Chronic stress can also mess with your metabolism. Those sugar spikes. So when you're stressed, your body goes into fight or flight mode. And then we have a hormone called cortisol that gets released. And that cortisol will also increase that glucose, that blood sugar in your body, so that your body will have that quick energy to be able to respond to that stress. And if that energy doesn't get used, like when you're stressed, like say at your desk or something like that, it will then lead to that high blood sugar. It can event that high blood sugar chronically elevated in your body can eventually lead to type 2 diabetes. It can lead to that weight gain, that stubborn weight gain that we can't get rid of. Cortisol also increases your appetite. It encourages the body to store that deep belly fat, which will then, just having that deep belly fat will then increase even more inflammatory chemicals. And so I can go on and on. Stress can cause tension headaches. It can cause skin flare-ups, and so much more. So if your nervous system never actually shifts back into that repair mode because you're stuck in that chronic stress, that's when inflammation can become chronic. And so this next slide is just a really basic slide of what I just said. So again, that stress is going to increase certain things like certain hormones like your cortisol, your adrenaline, and a thing that we call pro-inflammatory cytokines, which then lead to inflammation. And inflammation is the cause of all chronic diseases today. Um, 75 to 90% of human diseases are related to stress and inflammation. And this is a slide to just show the diseases that are caused by stress and inflammation. You can see things like headaches, fatigue, trouble sleeping, your hormone imbalance, anxiety, depression, irritability, weight gain, metabolic disease, high blood pressure, your immune system. It can definitely lead to cancer, neurodegenerative order disorders, cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, and more. Okay. 75 to 90% of chronic disease has that inflammatory component. And chronic stress, once again, is one of the biggest drivers of inflammation. So, what is stress? Stress is a normal reaction the body has when changes occur. It's any type of change that causes any type of physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Stress is how our body responds to pressure or tension. And it's also the body's natural response to any demand or threat, whether it's real or perceived. And so these are some factors that can make stress worse. So we have poor sleep, lack of sleep, poor diet, um, overworking, being sedentary and no exercise, and overstimulation, which includes things like watching the news, scrolling mindlessly on social media, um, binge watching Netflix, things like that. Here are some more factors that can make stress work is having difficult people, of course, chronic pain, having any type of financial worries, having no time for yourself, and having clutter or a messy home. So these are the 5 A's to manage stress. So on the left here, we either change the situation, and by changing the situation, meaning we can either avoid the stressor or alter the stressor. And then on the right side, you can also change your response. And those include things like adapting to the stressor, accepting the stressor, and being active. So now I'd love to ask you guys, what are some ways that you combat stress? So feel free to just unmute yourself and share with us how you like to combat stress.
I'm a dancer, and that's how I do it.
Dancing, that's a great one. Anybody else?
I've been incorporating a lot, excuse me, a lot of somatic movements in the morning and when I'm in the middle of a stressful situation.
Yeah, love it.
I
Somatic move.
too I too love to dance, so dancing and then being out in nature. If I can be outside, please, like that is the number one thing for me.
Yeah. Anybody else want to
Yeah,
share?
for me, it's more sitting in silence, having no extra stimulation of anything around me.
Ooh, like unplugging for a bit.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great one.
I have
Anybody?
tools in my toolbox that are like vagus nerve tonics. So, like humming or eye movements like eye circles, eye orienting, things like that. So, I will use those along with movement.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else want to share?
I'm in a philosophy school, and we meditate every day, 30 minutes twice a day.
Yes, meditation's a real good one. Excellent. Those are all great answers. Thank you all for sharing. And this is just a small list that I came up with. Obviously, not everything is on this list. I forgot to add essential oils as well. But yeah, anything from everything that you guys said. And so pets are a good one. I heard nature. Dancing is one of my favorites. I don't know why I didn't put that on the list here. And just, I invite you all to come up with your own list and commit to yourself to doing some kind of daily practice every day to combat stress so that you don't become part of that 75 to 90% statistic that ends up with a chronic disease due to stress. Okay. And now I'd love to do an exercise with you guys. Let's shift our nervous system right now. So I'd love for you guys to participate with me and do this breathing exercise. There's so many breathing exercises out there. What we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through our nose for the count of 4 seconds. We're going to hold that breath for 7 seconds and breathe out forcefully at your mouth for 8 seconds. Okay. So everybody go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to feel the chair under your buttocks. And I want you to feel the ground under your feet. And go ahead and take a nice deep breath in your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that for 7 seconds. And breathe out forcefully for 8. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold that for 7. Breathe out forcefully for 8. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold that for 7. Breathe out forcefully for 8. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold that for 7. Breathe out forcefully for 8. And before you open your eyes, I want you to just take a quick scan from the top of your head down to your toes and notice any tightness or tension that you might be having or holding, and see if you can kind of relax and soften those areas of tightness or tension. And take your time whenever you're ready. Feel free to open your eyes. Right, great. Well, thank you all for participating. I hope you guys notice even just being a little bit less tense and a little bit more relaxed. And there's so many breathing tools, exercises out there, and I love this 4781 in particular. It's been scientifically proven to lower stress and anxiety. And as you saw, it took like 1 to 2 minutes. It's a great tool to have in your back pocket. You can do it if you're stressed. You can do it if you're sitting in traffic or standing in a long grocery line. I've even done it before having like a tough, challenging conversation with someone. And you can try it with your kids as well, like teach them some tools to deal with stress as well. Um, and so, how many of you even feel slightly different? Yeah, great. Love it. Wonderful. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit because external strategies like we did do actually help. But if your internal stress patterns don't change, then your physiology won't change either. So now I'd love to shift gears and talk about how the mindset affects the brain and how we handle stress. So let me introduce you to what's called the self-coaching model. So, the beliefs and stories that you tell yourself have a huge effect on the results and the things that are going on in your life. And a lot of these beliefs are coming from our subconscious, and they were inherited through some sort of interpersonal relationship that we've had in the past. And most often than not, a lot of our beliefs um, are inherited start at the age of 5 years old. So I just wanted to share with you that we operate about 90 to 95% from our subconscious. We don't even realize some of the beliefs and stories that we tell ourselves because a lot of these beliefs and stories started at such a younger age. And so I'm going to give you 2 examples. Number one, say that you were a child and you were working on an art project, and your mom was like, "Hey, Cordelia, try it this way." And you could have just subconsciously inherited the belief that you don't know how to do it right, or that you're not good enough. You could have also maybe, for example, been in the kitchen and you overheard your mom and dad saying, "Can you believe Aunt Mary got a divorce again?" And you could have just inherited the belief that divorce is bad. And so this is really a big driver of stress. And so I want to show you how the self-coaching model works. So your beliefs, I'm going to use the example. Say I told myself the story that I have to work really hard in order to be successful in my business. Okay. And so your beliefs are going to affect the thoughts that you have. And so if I believe that I have to work really hard in order to be successful in my business, what kinds of thoughts am I going to have? Perhaps thoughts like, I don't have time to make myself a nice meal. I don't have time to exercise. I have this deadline, so I have to stay up really late and things like that, right? And then so your thoughts will then affect the emotions you have or the type of feelings that you have. So if I think I don't have time food and exercise and all those things, what kinds of feelings am I going to have and emotions? Perhaps I might be feeling stressed. I might be feeling anxious, and I might be feeling really overwhelmed. And the feelings and emotions that you have are going to affect your actions or inactions, right? So if I'm feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, what kinds of actions or inactions might I be doing? Perhaps I might be overwhelmed and I stay up really late because I'm trying to get more stuff done. Perhaps I am procrastinating because I'm just really stressed and anxious. Perhaps I'm just eating like the worst horrible food and not getting outside because I'm just feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed. And then your actions will affect your results, right? So if I'm feeling like I don't have time for all of these, that I'm not, I'm staying up late, I'm not eating well, then my result is just going to be, I have to work really hard in order to be successful in my business. And there you have it. Your results will just continually reinforce whatever your original belief or story was. Okay. And I want to show you that the self-coaching model also works in reverse. So, what result do you want to have? So, for example, maybe my result is I want to make 150K by the end of 2026, right? So, in order to have that result, what kinds of actions do I need to have in order to have those results? Perhaps I hire a business coach, or I hire a marketing team, or, I have content plan and strategies and things like that. And in order to be doing those actions, what kinds of feelings do I need to have? Perhaps I need to be feeling inspired and motivated and things like that. Okay. And in order to have those types of feelings, what types of thoughts am I going to be having, needing to have those feelings? Well, I need to be thinking that these strategies are going to work, right? That hiring a marketing team and that hiring a business coach and all those things are going to help me to get to my results. And in order to have those thoughts, I need to start with the belief that it's even possible to make 150, 200,000 by the end of the year. Okay. And so this is how we really need, I invite you to just revisit some of the stories and beliefs that you carry. And sometimes those stories or beliefs are no longer serving us. And so it's very powerful to just self-reflect and try to figure out, where did we originally learn that belief? And is it true for us today? Okay. And I wanted to just offer, if anybody wanted to try this self-coaching model and get coached through it in front of the group. Anybody want to try one? And we can either start with the belief or the results.
Nobody wants to be brave.
I'll be brave. I don't really
Okay.
start start
Uh,
with the result.
you want to start with results? Okay, Giovanna, I'm sorry. Giovanna, what's the type of result that you would like to achieve?
10 strong leaders to work with me.
You want to get 10 strong readers to work with you. Okay, great. So in order to have 10 strong readers to work with you, what kinds of actions do you think you need to be doing to get to that?
It's a leader, Leader.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10 strong leaders. Okay, yes, yes.
um, I don't know what the ratio is, but how many people do I need to speak to find a strong leader?
Okay. So you need to speak to other people to find the strong leader.
Right.
Okay, so that might be an action you need to do. Okay, maybe it's finding those ecosystems where the leaders exist, right?
Right.
Find out what type of, think about, maybe it's thinking about what type of personalities and where they like to hang out. Maybe leaders that have the same interests of what you're looking for.
Hmm.
Yep. Can you think of anything else?
Um, I mean, in addition to that goal?
Yeah, any actions that can help get those results.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Um, for these leaders to have, in fact, a result that they can share and talk about.
Okay, but we're going to, in order to find 10 strong leaders, what kinds of actions do you need to do to get those 10 strong leaders?
I mean, in addition to speaking to, let's say, 25 to get to the one or
Yeah,
30.
that's a good
Hmm.
one. Maybe speak to 25 people to get to one of those 10, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And then in order to be doing those actions, talking to the people, finding them, what kinds of feelings do you feel like you need to be having to be in that kind of action?
Empathy, good listener, understanding the position they're in or the what they may be going through in their bodies that's
Right?
difficult,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
family members. I spoke to someone yesterday and I've been speaking to her for about 3 weeks, and the first time came up that her sister has something grave going on. I didn't know. So I said, maybe I'm here not just for you, but also for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're having those conversations, but what I heard is feeling being open-minded and just feeling like in a welcoming state, open,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And in order to have those kinds of feelings, what kinds of thoughts do you need to have?
Clear, open. Um, I said the word engaging before, but being the best listener is so huge. People love to share what's going on when they know you are actually hearing what they say.
Mhm. Yeah, and maybe thoughts that if I go talk to 25 people, I'm going to be able to find at least one leader in that group,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And then in order to have those thoughts, what kind of beliefs do you need to have?
Confidence.
Confidence, believe that it's possible to get 25 leaders, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being the brave one to get coached through this. But yeah, I just want to just really emphasize that if you think you
Overcommitted
can
herself,
and
starting with 25 liters rather than
if you think you can and you think you can't, you are correct, okay? Um, and so this is a quote by Hans Selye. It's not the stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it. So again, going back to the 5 A's, sometimes you can't change the stressor, but can you at least change your perception of the stressor? So, what to do about it? It's all about regulating your nervous system daily. On a side note, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe and can't relax, and you can't really completely heal any chronic diseases and things like that. So try to be in daily practice to regulate your nervous system daily. Try to reduce that inflammatory loads. Audit your stress beliefs, kind of like what we just went through, and address that gut health when it's needed. And this is exactly what I help my clients do in inside core coaching. That's the reason why I chose the topic of stress because, as you see, these are my three pillars and mindset, limiting beliefs, that personal development, as well as self care being the best healthcare. That's where we do a lot of the stress management and things like that. They're two of my three biggest pillars. And I just want to give you an example. This is one of my clients who came to me with chronic bloating, insomnia, anxiety, and she thought everything was just gut related. But when we assessed her stress patterns and her nervous system activation, we realized that her body was stuck in fight or flight for years. And once we addressed that stress, and her beliefs, alongside with regulation practices, with her gut repair, that's when her symptoms dramatically improved. That's when the extra weight came off and things like that. And so I just want to, if you're listening today, you're recognizing yourself in this chronic fatigue, gut issues, hormone imbalance, maybe anxiety that won't turn off, and you suspect that stress is playing a bigger role than you realize, this is exactly what I help people untangle. And so I just wanted to invite you to this 90-minute strategy session where I do a personalized root cause strategy with you. We go over detailed history. We go over all of your recent labs and all of the medications and supplements that you're currently on, and you leave with an action plan for your healing journey. And so if any of you guys are interested, there is the QR code. And if this resonates and you suspect stress as a big impactor of your health, I'd love to talk after. And again, mindset is everything. Stress is not weakness, it's physiology. And if stress becomes unmanaged, it can then lead to inflammation, and inflammation will then become disease. So I just want to let you know that you don't have to live in survival mode. And I love this quote here. You can go to the gym, drink your water, take your vitamins, but if you don't deal with the stuff going on in your heart and your head, you're not going to be healthy. And so thank you so much for being here today. I'd love to answer any questions or if anyone wants to share any insights that they had from today's talk.
And Cordelia, if you could drop your links in the chat too, because some people will grab the chat, um,
Okay.
versus be able to see the QR code. So while people are formulating their questions and comments, if you could stick that in there, that would be great so people can find you.
Yeah, so I will drop my website and my email address here. And then I will also drop, let's see here. Does anybody have any questions or comments or any aha moments from today's talk?
I think for me, it just really resonated. About 5 years ago, I unfortunately lost my father-in-law. And when I compared him to my parents are very unhealthy, like looking from the outside. They have diabetes, they're overweight, but they have a very carefree, low stress life. And my father-in-law, he looks very healthy. He worked out every day. He actually had a heart attack after working out. But he led a high stress life. He was an executive for IT at a company, and it was just really saddening to realize that that stress was silently killing him.
Yeah. I thank you for that share, Jennifer. I just wanted to bring this topic up because and bring stress back in the spotlight because we overlook it. We say, "Oh, I'm just busy. I'm just getting older. That's just how life is." And we don't realize what it's silently doing to our bodies. Or we think like, "Oh, as soon as I get done with that deadline, I can relax." But we don't realize what we're doing to our bodies to try to get to that deadline.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a great point. I teach nervous system reset classes, and I have people that come in and like I ask them on the scale, your stress level, from 0 to 10, where does it fall on the scale? And they'll pick a number, but at the end of the class, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I did not realize how much stress my body was carrying because now when I go back to that scale, like the number I chose, like shouldn't have been a 5, it should have been like an 8 or a 9." And I think that it is so pervasive and we're so used to living with it because unfortunately we live in a culture here in America that's a hustle, do more, be better, be productive, get things done. And it's almost become a norm for us.
Mhm. Yeah, it's been a norm, and that's why our statistics of chronic diseases are through the roof. You don't realize how much it plays into the diabetes and the high blood pressure and the weight gain and the hormone imbalance and lack of sleep and all of those things. Yeah.
Cordelia, I want to say thank you so much for this. It kind of makes me think of my husband because he's very healthy. He takes care of himself physically, right? He exercises, he has a decent diet, but he is chronically inflamed. I can just see it. And he's always like, "I don't understand. I just don't understand." And I'm like, I keep telling him it's stress, it's stress and stress. And so like hearing you say this and bring in like the scientific piece of it was really helpful for me to see so I can like relay it back to him of like, okay, you need to do more like self-care, dude. Like you're just not good at that, and that's okay, but I'm here to help you. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. And that's why I love that last quote that I shared. You can be exercising, eating the right food, taking all your supplements, but if you don't deal what's on in your heart and your head, you're not going to be healthy. Yeah.
Why is it husbands never listen to their wives? Because they'll tell my husband the same thing. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." And so it's like, I'll make an appointment. I'll be like, "Here, show up and talk to this person because you're not listening to me. Maybe you'll listen to that person." And then they do. Husbands.
But you know
Husbands.
what? I don't know if you have this lore, but my husband will go to the doctor and won't tell them all the things that he's dealing with. You know what I mean? So like I feel like I have to go with him and be like, "This is actually what's going on." He's not he's not telling you everything. I don't know if that's a guy thing, Martin. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, but yeah.
I think unfortunately it is. It's I recognize a lot of those things, and it also probably has to do with Cordelia was talking about those subconscious beliefs, right? So what have we been told, and what have we what do we tell ourselves now of what a man should behave like, and it's like to be strong, not to cry, to fixate yourself, be the strong one. And so even when something small like going to the doctor, and yeah, I had to learn this the hard way as well, to actually tell my doctor what is going on. And it is it's a big hurdle for a lot of men to get over, and to realize that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have weaknesses, and yeah, it's a real, I think, subconscious mindset.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like the word pride keeps coming to my mind, right? Like men have to be strong and prideful. And yeah, thank you for that.
Yes, thank you, Martin, for being the man in here, and you can share your man's perspective. Some days we have one man, other days we have more mans.
There is a
Yeah.
Curtis. I think it's a man,
I
but
would say so too, but I think Curtis is lurking for today, and that's
oh,
okay.
all right.
So,
He's not speaking out. Okay.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I also invite you to keep like check in with yourself. Like, is my stress about my husband causing me all this extra stress too? Like, so how can I remember the 5 A's? How can I accept it or alter it or change my perception or do something about it?
Yeah, I love that because I've had to check myself. I've come a long way. I used to stress about it more, right? And now I'm like, it's his life. He gets to make his choices, and I don't have to force anything on him, and he has to live through his journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much. Does anybody else want to share any last minute comments, insights, or have any questions?
Real quick, Jennifer asked about a replay. So if you are a guest to this and you want the replay, Cordelia will send it out once it goes up on our YouTube channel, the HCC YouTube channel. She will send it out to everyone. But if you are a member, all of our replays, except for Zoom networking, because that's kind of a moot point, all of our replays are available to you by logging into your membership dashboard. There's a link on the right that says event replays, and you can watch any um, business masterclass or wellness series event that we've done. The strategic masterminds are also in there as well. So, two ways to access the replay for this.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope it was insightful. And again, I just encourage you to come up with your list of ways to combat stress and make sure you're incorporating that into your daily practice so you don't become a statistic.
Thank you so much, Cordelia, for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your strategies and giving us some exercises. We appreciate that tremendously.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, members, for coming and attending. And thank you, guests. It was great to see you or not see you, but it's all good.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks,
thank you
Bye.
everyone.
all.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Get a great life.
Bye.